Another day, another situation of people seemingly failing upward in the video game industry, even though their past projects have lost upwards of hundreds of millions of dollars previously. It doesn't seem to matter because I guess experience means more? What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. Not just one, but two different writers for BioWare's failed Dragon Age the Veilguard have been discovered to be working on Sucker Punch's upcoming Ghost of Yōtei. Why is it that this nepotism seems to trump any kind of reason when it comes to hiring practices in the game industry? Why do these people continue to be rewarded for terrible work? Like, seriously, are there no other writers out there willing to work in the industry? Or is it just they want to make sure they take care of their buddies because that's what the gaming industry has turned into? Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for the full article breaking down how two different writers from Dragon Age the Veilguard have been discovered to be working on Sucker Punch's upcoming game, Ghost of Yōtei, and how all that is just one extra feather in a cap of extreme concern. Sucker Punch's much anticipated and heavily mired in controversy upcoming game, Ghost of Yōtei, a follow-up to the critically acclaimed Ghost of Tsushima, is back in the news for all the wrong reasons again. From questionable staffing choices to concerning rumors about the game's overall direction, the more I'm learning about the game, the less excited I am for its eventual release, which really sucks because, in all honesty, and as I've said this before, Ghost of Tsushima is one of my favorite games of all time, easily in my top 25. I could even argue potentially in my top 15 games. It's a game that everybody should definitely play at least once in their life. No matter what kind of genre you're into, it's just a fantastic experience. So sure, when I heard that they were making another game and I was watching the trailer, I initially was getting super hyped for it. Until I saw the girl boss and I'm just like, ugh, this is the direction they're going. Why do they always do this? The move that should have a lot of gamers at least a little bit concerned, Sucker Punch has brought in two former Dragon Age the Veilguard writers, John Dombrow and Courtney Woods, to work on Ghost of Yōtei. These two writers were previously involved in one of BioWare's biggest failures in history, and specifically due to the narrative aspect of the game, by the way. It's not like they just happened to be on a project and the project failed, but it had nothing to do with them. No, these were writers for the game that was heavily criticized for very poor writing. Dombrow worked on Mass Effect 3, Bioshock Infinite Burial at Sea, Episode 1, and the critically underwhelming Mass Effect Andromeda prior to leaving BioWare last year towards the end of development for Dragon Age the Veilguard. It was confirmed by his former co-worker, Trick Weeks, on Blue Sky that Dombrow was the one who was creating the storyline for Davrin when he said, "And I just reached out to him, so I can confirm that John Dombrow, who worked on Garrus and Javrik on Mass Effect 3, was the writer for Davrin," and a smiley face. So make what you will of that, but he announced his departure from BioWare to join Sucker Punch in early 2023 via LinkedIn. John Dombrow on LinkedIn said, "I've had a terrific time working at BioWare on Dragon Age and Mass Effect all these years. Now it's time for a new adventure, and I couldn't be more excited to announce I've joined the awesome team at Sucker Punch." So yeah, the game was pretty much feature complete. The storyline was written, and that's one of those you get to the point of, okay, now we're just working the bugs out, working the kinks out, making sure everything makes sense at the end of the game. But by the time he left, the storyline was well in place. Meanwhile, we have Courtney Woods, a decade-long BioWare veteran with credits on Dragon Age Inquisition, Mass Effect Andromeda again, so they share that in common, and of course, everyone's favorite game, Anthem. She made her move to Sucker Punch in September of 2022, so people could say, oh, that was, at this point, we're talking, 2.5 years ago? That's a long time. But again, when it comes to game development and how Dragon Age the Veilguard came out in October of 2024, it was really only like a year since the game was made and feature complete from when she left. So yes, again with her, even though she left a little bit earlier, That's somebody that had a major impact on the storyline of a game before ultimately jumping ship. Courtney posted on Twitter, "I am so excited today is my first day as a senior staff writer at Sucker Punch Studios. I can't wait to work with and learn from my incredibly talented coworkers. This is a dream come true for me." Putting these two together, it's almost like they knew to get out because they realized how crappy Dragon Age the Veilguard was going to be and ultimately how the ship was going to sink by the time the game came out. So they did the smart thing and jumped off of it to go to another company. And I don't know about you guys, but I put two and two together and I say, maybe they're just not that talented? Given that both these writers contributed to Dragon Age the Veilguard, a game that's been widely criticized for its ideologically driven storyline approach to identity politics and lackluster narrative, there's pretty good reason to have some legitimate concern that Ghost of Yōtei will suffer from very similar issues, especially when considering the move they made in bringing in the main protagonist of the game, Erika Ishii. Now, Erika Ishii is someone that I've talked about many times before in the past about how I have serious concerns about bringing in an activist to play a protagonist when this person doesn't really care about gaming. They have other agendas in mind. One of the most controversial aspects of Ghost of Yōtei is the rumored protagonist switch. Early leaks from friend of the channel Endymion suggested that the game originally had Jin Sakai as the main character, only for Sucker Punch to replace him with Etsu, a girl boss protagonist played by activist Erika Ishii.
Originally, apparently, they wanted this Tsushima sequel to drop close to John Wick's director's vision of the movie to capitalize on sales. But these changes from Tsushima 2 to Yotei happened, apparently, within the last year. So the entire vision of the project has been changed. The era of placing the game 300 years into the future from Tsushima 1's story was decided because it would be more believable in Sucker Punch's internal talks for the game to star a woman at that point instead. The game was supposed to move Jin Sakai further into the Japanese mainland to fight the Mongols. As I was told, Tsushima 2 was meant to be about Jin creating his own Brotherhood of Ghosts, a lot like Ezio does with the Brotherhood of Assassins as well in that game too. The idea was that Jin knew he couldn't face the Mongols alone and therefore would train eager and talented young Japanese into capable warriors that could help him strike in multiple areas at once, which would then give credence to the idea that the ghost, as in Jin, and the legend were indeed everywhere at once around Japan, which would obviously scare the Mongols and then make the urban legend even more terrifying to them. There was meant to be huge cinematic battles where Jin and his ghosts would ride and face off against the Mongols as well. And the fact that they sidelined Jin Sakai for this new Atsu hero instead. This led to a lot of asset flips and the story changing, but the core idea of Jin being hunted by Ronin was kept, but of course, he was replaced by Atsu instead.
The decision to do this, if it is to be believed and true, is pretty upsetting and honestly pissed off a lot of longtime fans, including myself, of this game potential having a series. When now, instead of having another follow-up to Jin Sakai and making this game an incredible experience, it's really making it feel like this is more of a woke identity politic game that we need to push an agenda into. And for what reason? Why do they keep doing this? To make matters even worse, Ishii's involvement has only fueled speculation that Ghost of Yōtei is going to once again prioritize identity politics over immersive storytelling. Her open activism and willingness to shut down conversations with anyone critical of her doesn't necessarily bode well for a title that should have been focused on delivering an engaging and overall fun experience to the gamer. Like, this is someone that has not just only blocked me on Twitter X, but has blocked many people for daring to speak up and question anything. I don't think I was even rude about anything. It was just like, hey, here's some information about this person, and I don't think it really matches with what the game was trying to be like, but hey, who knows what's going to happen with it? Doesn't matter, blocked. That's where we find ourselves in the modern era of technology, where these people just can't handle any kind of critical feedback whatsoever. We'll of course have to wait and see what they do for the overall narrative, but based on past history, I'm not going to be holding my breath. You pile that together with how Ghost of Tsushima was a massive success, selling about 10 million copies since the launch and receiving near universal acclaim. Contrast that to Ghost of Yōtei's current trajectory, it feels significantly different. Between the divisive rumored protagonist switch, the hiring of writers responsible for some of BioWare's biggest flops in history, and the growing backlash online against the people putting this game together, it's really hard for me to imagine how this game could come anywhere close to matching the predecessor's success of Ghost of Tsushima. In fact, I'm looking at this like, I don't know if it's even going to get halfway to 10 million. 5 million might be a stretch. Compounding the issue, former Sony Interactive Entertainment head Sean Layden recently weighed in on the controversy, dismissively telling critics that if you don't like it, don't buy it. And I made a video talking about that situation, about how ridiculously out of touch all of these people seem to be, in lockstep, ideologically conforming with each other, and basically taking the stance of fighting against gamers, the people who have wallets that are the paying customers to purchase your product. It's such a weird angle to take. I will never understand it for the life of me. At this rate, Ghost of Yōtei is shaping up to be yet another case of a studio failing to understand what made their previous game a success. While I genuinely do hope to be proven wrong with all of this, I can't help but shake the feeling that this game is on a collision course with disappointment. Anyways, if you guys want more information, check out smashjt.com. I will link it in the description below. If you appreciate what I'm doing, hit that join button. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing.
All of us are passionate about the games that we make, but what makes making games fun are the people that you work alongside of. That's what makes it really, truly something you can just dig your teeth into year after year. Smash, Smash,